17 minutes after 7 o'clock, it's been a big story to emerge out of Mthatha in the Eastern Cape this week. It follows the tragic shooting of a student after a violent confrontation with management. So essentially, according to police reports, a group of students approached the manager's on-campus residence. This is at the Walter Sisulu University in Mthatha. They were there to complain about living conditions, specifically regarding the state of NSFAS accredited accommodations, and the situation turned deadly. We don't quite know all the details, but presumably the manager might argue he feared for his life, and so he fired into the crowd. It resulted in the death of one student and the injury of another. And it sparked a wider conversation about the inadequacy of some of these accommodations, and social media images have been doing the rounds, with many complaining about where they are expected to live as students. And at some point, the conversation, of course, was whether or not the victim, the deceased, was even registered at that institution. So what on earth is going on there? We've invited Dr. Nkosinathi Sishi, who's the Director General of the Department of Higher Education and Training, to just explain to us what the latest information is. Dr. Sishi, a very good morning to you. Welcome to 702 Breakfast. Thank you for talking to us.
Very good morning, Bongani, and all the listeners at home. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
All right, help us understand the confusion that has emerged, because what wasn't certain at a point was whether the victim who was shot and who was killed was even a registered student. Initial reports suggested from the university he wasn't, only for your department to confirm yesterday that in fact he was. Where did that confusion arise?
The confusion was about the fact that NSFAS had been paying for the student up to the end of the last academic year. And this year, since he no longer qualified for further funding, he had to raise his own resources to be able to be registered. And so that's the reason for the gap of the information that was made available to our teams early. But we managed to correct that when we confirmed the registration status of the student. But it was not even supposed to be the main issue at that point. The fact is we lost a student who was supposed to graduate and not to come out as a deceased person. So that's why we ensured yesterday that the minister and the team visit the institution, visit the students, look into the matters, notwithstanding the fact that the university has confirmed that it has started its own investigation. And we await that report. But we also are working with the police to look into other aspects of it. We would like to really deeply express our condolences to the family and friends and close relatives, and we wish the circumstances came out differently.
I'll get to why I was raising that question in just a moment, but of course it does speak to concerns about the efficiency of the university in managing the students that are enrolled at that institution if they can't necessarily determine who is a student that's registered or not. But I'll come back to that in a moment. Can you explain what you now know about the circumstances that led to this tragedy?
This matter is actually a matter under investigation. Our own view and experience yesterday was the sadness that is very visible among students that came to meet the minister, and the sense of an understanding that what is a priority at this moment is that we mourn and we grieve the departed, and offer their family with the privacy that they need, and do these things in a manner that befits the moment of sadness that engulfs us.
Sure.
So, secondly, the in the afternoon, because we were there right in the afternoon, we had to drive 5 hours from PE to Umtata to get to the institution. Already at the time, the chair of council and members of council had met to discuss the matter and look into the circumstances. So I think we need to afford them an opportunity to give us reports that are detailed and are verified, so that the public is informed, factually on what are the circumstances. The minister, in terms of the law, may demand further investigations if the investigation by the institutions are not satisfactory. But the police are also interested in the violence that has occurred. We have already clarified that this was a legitimate student of the institution, which unfortunately came out differently in our earlier reports. But the management, the Vice Chancellor, we were with the Vice Chancellor just a day before, Professor Songa, and the entire management are working with students to try and manage the situation as best as they can.
Dr. Sishi, I mean, of course, one would appreciate what the family, in fact, both families, whose loved ones have been injured and in the one instance obviously killed, what they might be dealing with at a time like this. But at the same time, we've got to be able to deal with the circumstances that gave rise to the protest to begin with. And so I'm just simply asking you, and this cannot impinge on the investigation, but what preliminary information do you have? So, for example, have you spoken to the manager whose residence was the gathering spot of these protesters?
We did visit the spot where this incident occurred, but at the time, for obvious reasons, we only could meet the students, and there wasn't the alleged individual in this case, which is at that time, or which was at that time, managed by the police. But what I can say,
are they still at work? Are they on special leave? That's the kind of detail I'm asking for.
The status will be clear today, but I can not confirm whether this was through the management system or this is a person who just fled the incident in fear of what would be the repercussions of what they would have done.
So at this stage, we don't know who fired the shots?
We at this stage, we can allege that all information received suggests that the caretaker in the institution may be responsible.
So, is he still at work? Is he on leave?
No.
What's his status at this stage?
No, he's not at work at this point in time.
What's your response, Dr. Sishi, to all the images that have been shared, not only from Walter Sisulu University, but really around the country by students who are living in these accommodations accredited by NSFAS? We've seen cracked walls, broken tiles, ceilings, leaks, and they're saying they're staying in unbearable conditions and expected to study at the same time. What's your response to that?
Firstly, let us make it very clear that the accommodation issues of the institutions are different. This happened in the institution, and the institution has one of the best, accommodation that's available. Of course, it can be better. Some of the students yesterday did indicate to us that they are unhappy about maintenance of some of the facilities. But that is not the focal point of our engagement with the student. At the moment, It was more about the minister saying that as a sector, post-school education and training system, we've lost one of our own, and let us express support. As I speak to you now, we are on our way to meet the family.
Dr. Sishi, I'm going to come
minister.
in there. I think we can walk and talk at the same time. I'm not begrudging you any opportunity to express your condolences to the families that have been affected, but we cannot ignore the situation that gave rise to this incident in the first instance. And we know, of course, that this escalated to some significant violence. I mean, we understand the caretaker's vehicle, for example, was set alight. We understand his spouse was struck in the head with an object during the protest. I mean, that's how angry and unhappy these students are. And whilst it may be true that this particular institution has some fantastic facilities, we both know not every registered student who is accommodated lives in that particular facility that you are referring to. We can't ignore that reality, can we?
Absolutely, absolutely. That is why we have to, properly investigate this matter. And as a department, as you know, we give the university, the right to look into the situation on its own as an autonomous institution. But we have made ourselves very clear that there will be consequences to in the institution or any other person who's responsible. But we have to also take responsibility, Bongani, of saying that our protocols for security in all of our institutions, not only this one, needs to improve. And this is a public matter which we are working together with. The minister wrote an instruction to all institutions that we establish a steering committee that looks into the accommodation situation and the prioritization of first year and undergraduate students in the institutions in terms of accommodation available. We're working with the state security agents in this regard. We're working with the police. The police have given us a security report of the state of security across all institutions, but we did not want to move away from the focus that all of us should look carefully at the report that emerges,
okay,
and take action, clear action.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. We're going to have to leave it there, Dr. Nkosinathi Sishi, who is the Director General of the Department of Higher Education and Training. I don't know how much clarity you have from what he's explained there, but not very much new information. They're, of course, giving the university the space to investigate, but the barest minimum of facts don't seem to be available. So long explanation, but frankly as clear as mud.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions,
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.